everybody, I'm Lex.
And I'm Brig.
Brig and I today are going to make DNS sexy.
Well, that was not sexy.
All right, so now that we failed at that, maybe we should teach you a little something about DNS.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
DNS, doing network stuff.
Yep. Where do we want to start?
I think...
Should we just do a real fast, like how we resolve stuff?
Okay, resolving, yes. Okay.
All right. So in a Windows environment, and PDQ deploy and PDQ inventory, or operate in a Windows environment, we use name resolution, and DNS is the typical way that it's been done. There are other options, but they're not very good.
They're bad.
Very bad. But the resolution order that Windows uses, which is what we also use because we use .NET, is first we look, is it a local host? And if it's not localhost, then we go on and we say, well, is there a host file? And are there any entries in the host file? We check that out. And then if that doesn't work, we'll go to DNS and we'll check that out. If there's no DNS, then we rely on NetBIOS, and NetBIOS is terrible.
Why is it so terrible?
Well, it's been around for a long time. It's deprecated.
Old is bad?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I was going to say it says
not necessarily.
maybe.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But old generally means also not very secure.
Okay, good point. Good point.
So there's some issues with NetBIOS, and the big issue with it is, well, first of all, it has its own resolution order, so it's going to take even more time. So it looks at the cache, and then it looks for an LM hosts file. And for those of you that are as old as Lex and I, we know what LM hosts files are.
Okay, quick quiz for everybody. Yeah. Where would you find those files?
Right here. Look at that's the magic of what we've already done. That's where you would find
Windows
those.
System 32 drivers.
Yep. And so there's the LM hosts file, and it's just like a host file, except it's just got the LM in front of it.
Now, it's best practice for those to be empty.
Yes.
Otherwise, you may have issues.
Yes, if you have things in your hosts file and LM hosts file, and you don't have a very specific, absolute reason for doing that, you should consider not doing that.
Some good antivirus, maybe some good malware.
Yeah, yes, something, something. And then the last part of NetBIOS resolution is it's going to send out a broadcast packet. So if it can't find anything about the computer that you're trying to look for, it's going to send out broadcast packets. And I think that's on UDP port 137. I don't know if I didn't verify that, but it is.
I didn't Google it either.
The Gougelet can tell us exactly.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it.
Yeah. What did you call it?
Gougelet.
Oh, I'm going to call it
that French,
from now on.
Gougelet.
I'm going to call that from now on. Anyway, so then you can detect. So anyway, broadcast packets are fine so long as it's on the local IP subnet. But as soon as that has to traverse over a router, routers are generally don't forward broadcast traffic, so it's only going to be in that particular IP subnet. So you could know the name of the computer, but if it's on a different subnet, NetBIOS is going to be like, nah, I can't. I don't know. So anyway, those are the orders of resolution. So that's kind of where we're at in that. Just kind of wanted to recap because that's kind of an important deal.
Absolutely.
Yep.
A couple things you need to know about setting, just some things that'll help in case your DNS is not so fresh.
Yes.
You can go into PDQ inventory and deploy, and under options, there's my mouse, options, preferences, surprising I actually have it here, networking, test multiple addresses and name resolution.
Yep.
Okay, this will hide a myriad of problems.
Yeah, we do a pretty good job of trying to help you out. So for instance, like the biggest example in this is like when you're going from wireless to wired. So when you're doing that, and then your DNS server's like, well, you've got this IP address and this IP address on here, and then maybe you go to something else, to a different wired network, so you could have like 3 IP addresses listed in DNS, and it's like, well, which one is the accurate one? We'll actually try and like resolve that for you.
And we'll only go as long as until somebody answers, and once it answers, hopefully it's the right machine.
Yep.
Okay.
And then in deploy, you would see that here in options, preferences as well. And then that one's in performance. So it's down here at the very bottom.
So that will help.
Yep, that will help.
Because, DNS, there's some lag times maybe?
Yeah.
DNS. So this is going to help even if your DNS is set up, awesome like ours.
Yes, except for in this case where we've actually done some deliberate breakage. So you're going to see some errors. And you can see, so you'll see target name mismatch is probably the most common error that we see. But we also see like computer unreachable or offline, and the username or password is incorrect. And sometimes so the username password is incorrect is kind of a weird one because you can have a machine that's in DNS that you would think that your scan credentials would work, but because that IP address is different, it's not going to work at all. So
Obviously, you're hitting a different machine.
Yeah, because you're hitting a machine where that doesn't, you don't have those credentials.
And again, for all of you, that target name mismatch means
Yeah.
Briggs' machine had the IP, now my machine has it, but inventory thinks his machine's still on that IP.
Yeah. So, and how I actually got this error was relatively simple. So we've got Alan Rails and Beth. All I did to do that was take Beth and Alan Rails and reverse their IP addresses. So Alan Rails in the DNS server has 115, but his actual IP address is 114. So that's all I did to get that.
Throw the error so you can see it.
But that would happen in real life, like, oh, okay, so I've got a machine out there, so it's 114, and then it loses its lease, something else comes in, it's 115, but it's still in the DNS server as showing us this. So yeah, and then you can also have duplicate entries. Did I have that in there too?
I can't remember.
Nope,
I will say
not
this:
in here.
these are some of the errors you're going to see, and we're going to show you how to take care of these the right way.
Yep. Yes, there are. Well, there's the fast way, which is like you need to figure out what the IP address is of those machines, and work through there. You can do that in the DHCP server and look through, see like what machine is, MAC address, all of that kind of stuff. And those are like the immediate things. But what we're really concerned about is like a long-term solution to the situation. So that's what we're going to.
Now you can use NS lookup in the name of the machine, and that's like looking in the phone book and say, okay, where's Briggs' house? And it gives me Briggs' address.
Yep.
Okay. Now, the other thing you can do is an nbtstat -a. Basically, what that does is I'm going to go to that address, knock on the door, and actually see if Briggs answers.
Yeah. Remember, this will only work if you're in the same city.
Yes.
Because it does. This is a NetBIOS
Subnet,
resolution. Yep. So, So we did. So we did this here where we looked at NS lookup Beth, and we got this IP address. Oh nope, that's the IP address of the DNS server. And then we got this 115, then we do an nbtstat for that 115, and it shows that it's Alan Rails.
Alan Rails answered.
So
instead of Beth. So
yep. So that's who that is, and that's an easy way of doing that. Now, again, since it's local to the IP subnet, what you can do is just remote in RDP into like a machine that you know is good over in that different subnet, and then run that nbtstat on that, and you'll get that.
Yep.
NS lookup's different protocol, nbtstat different protocol.
So that being said, once again, we confirmed. We now know wrong person's answering that IP.
Yep.
So let's go fix that up.
Okay.
Or set it up. Set up the fix up.
Yeah. This is going to be a long-term fix. So
Okay.
short-term fix is now that you know that Alan Rails is at that IP address, go in there, fix Beth, fix Alan Rails, make sure that they're correct. Because like I said, I reversed them both. So, all right.
Should we do a question?
Yeah, let's do a question. Yeah, before we jump into this.
Dear Lex and Brig, is this option on by default? Sincerely, Random IT Guy.
Which option?
Random IT. If that option you're talking about is test multiple addresses and name resolution, I don't believe that's on by default. So
because
you have three no's.
Yeah, you take a performance hit on that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to check one, it's going to check another, it's going to check another. So in order to improve performance, we leave that off, but it is an option in case you're experiencing any sort of like DNS issues.
Good
Someone
question.
did say that. Josh, do you remember who it was that said that like PDQ deploy and inventory were like the best DNS networking troubleshooting tools?
Inventory is ideally a DNS tester.
Yes.
It just so happens to scam computers.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Unintended consequence.
It's pretty good at doing that.
Want to do another question, or should we jump into?
I don't know. Do we want to do another question? Sure. Again.
Okay, so let's jump in. So, how do we fix this long term?
Okay, so the long term is scavenging, which is of course the title of this webcast. So
Scavenging.
we want to talk about scavenging.
It's kind of like dating, isn't it?
It is kind of like dating. So we're going to kind of use an analogy about dating because analogies, metaphors, or whatever we want to call them.
Let me get my Tinder.
All right. Okay, so let's just start out. So scavenging there's three areas where you need to set this. There's the zone file. There's the actual record where it needs to be set. There's the zone file where it needs to be set because you don't want to do multiple zones. And then there's the server level. So basically it's three areas of protection, of ways of protecting you from yourself. But we're going to show you how to do all this. So first thing is we want to look at the zone record. First of all,
you just grab the machine bird person.
Yeah, so the first thing you need to do is go to advanced. So if I look at bird person here, the properties, I don't see anything about scavenging in here. But as soon as I go to view and advanced, I'll see this stuff right down here. This is the important stuff. So, and you want to make sure that delete this record when it becomes stale is checked. So that's the most important part.
That's first.
Yep.
Okay.
And you asked an important question. Like, if I do this, do I have to do this for each individual zone record? And Lex and I were talking yesterday, and I was like, you do not. Once you've set this, checked it, and it's on by default, but once you've checked that, it applies to all of the records within that zone. So you don't have to go through. It's just kind of like when you do the PTR update, same thing. All right, so once that's set there, then we can do so this is the web.pdq.com zone. Right-click on that, go to Properties, and Aging is here. And then we can set this resource for the no refresh interval and then the refresh interval. And we can set those to any number of days.
Why do you have it set to 3? Why not 2? Or 1? Wouldn't we want to?
Well, 3 days gives you enough time, or gives the records enough time to be able to not update. You basically want to give, if we're going to use the dating metaphor,
Let's do the dating.
You want to provide the date enough time to kind of digest that date.
So I'm not coming across as needy. Is
Yeah,
that
as
what
needy
you're saying?
or too, yeah, and at the same time I'm not too desperate.
Okay, you don't want to be too desperate, and you don't want to be too
Exactly.
aloof that they lose interest.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right.
So you're just trying to keep. So the no refresh interval just means that it's a way of the DNS server saying, like, I don't need your traffic right now. Like literally, it's very much about like just saving on bandwidth. But to use our dating metaphor, it's kind of like, oh yeah, so I know who you are.
We went on a
We
date.
went on a date, everything like that, and I see that you're texting me, but I'm going to play a little coy.
Okay.
Now, me, on the other end, I'm just like, okay, fine. I'm just sending text. I'm not getting any responses back. That's fine. And then we have the refresh interval. And the refresh interval means that, like, okay, now I've been giving your texts, but
I've been coy long enough.
yeah,
I will.
now okay.
I'll respond.
I'll respond. I'll be like, all right. So basically, the refresh interval is when the DNS server allows like the client to go ahead and update their DNS record. So the no refresh, nope. I'm not going to respond to your texts. And then the refresh, yes, okay, I'm going to respond to your texts.
Yes,
and I had a good
fun
time.
too.
It was a good date. All
Coffee
right,
was
fine.
good. Okay.
Or like if it's not, maybe it was like, yeah, I was waiting around for you, and then I just decided I'm just going to go off to another DNS server. That's it. I'm going to just swipe right or.
Is it swiping right? I don't know. I haven't played actually,
But yeah, anyway, so that's basically. I don't know how far we can carry this metaphor
before it becomes really weird.
Before it becomes stale.
Stale. There we go.
Stale records.
Records,
Anyway.
okay.
So yeah, you want to make sure. Also, it's very important, obviously, to have that checked when you do this. So, and then set those to days. This, don't ever, not ever. This is not okay. This is setting this to hours. I don't know why. I think somebody complained and said, like, why is it hours? And Microsoft said, okay, fine, we'll do it. But anyway, it's a bad idea.
Someone likes to do math.
Don't
figure
do
out
that.
what days are in hours.
So just to understand scavenging, the no refresh interval is the DNS server's like, I've got you, I've got your timestamp, I don't need anything until that is expired. Once that's expired, the DNS server's like, I am now open to hear your timestamp. Clients update once every 24 hours roughly. So now what you've basically done is 3 days, I don't want to hear from you. Now 3 days, in this instance anyway, I do want to hear from you. So, but if I don't hear from you, once that's expired, then you're open for scavenging. Okay, so that's how that works. And then the last place, so on the server. Yep, and I can never remember its advanced. There we go, I did remember. And you want to enable automatic scavenging, and then the scavenging period is within whatever days. So, using this example, you've got 3 days of no refresh, 3 days of refresh. Now you're up to 6 days. As soon as that 6 days expires, you've got 7 days in which that record can be scavenged. So it could be a total of 13 days.
Do we need to wait that long on the last part?
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take that down. And again, hours.
A little aggressive there. A lot aggressive.
So aggressive. Yeah.
So if I were to put that at 1, it's like, okay, I've already waited 6 days for all of this. Within the next 24 hours, go ahead and scavenge the record.
Yep. Yeah, we do that.
What's best practice?
I don't know.
Josh's got an idea.
Yeah, Josh.
I got a thing here.
Okay.
So maybe we should think about DHCP lease time
Yeah.
and start to factor that in. How long are we giving out IP addresses for to a specific
that's a
network
good-
Because
interface?
the default lease time just out of the box is 8 days on that. Now, that's a good segue into our next area, which is that we don't necessarily need to have the client always in charge of this, and we can actually tie it to the DHCP server. So, and this is something that we've talked about before, but I think it's kind of important to do what we do now. Or do we want?
While we're here, let me just.
Okay.
This is a good time to bring this up. I've talked to a lot of customers like, hey, I've got people who VPN in, and I want to be able to deploy to them. I want to be able to do scans, and so they ask, can you do it? And I'm like, yeah, you can do it. You need to let those ports through your VPN, and you also need to make it so that whatever device or whatever it is that is they're connecting to is either relaying to DHCP and allowing it to be set here. But I guess that's not either. That's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So ideally, what you would have, your edge device, whatever's controlling that VPN. I mean, like it may be your Windows environment, but it's unlikely. Is that you actually do an IP helper or a DHCP relay? That's ideal. But if you're not doing that and you're using like a DNS that's outside, or like a server that's like on your edge device that's handing out like DHCP and handling that DNS, what you can do is you can put that in as a zone file, and you have to make sure and check this enable bind secondaries here, because chances are those edge devices are not using Microsoft's implementation of DNS, and this just allows Microsoft's DNS servers to actually interact with those different servers. And then another important thing that Josh brought up is that we need to make sure that we set the
security, because it's a less secure kind of thing. Where did we do that again?
Yeah,
Josh?
where's that, Josh?
Yeah, that's on the actual zone that you're going to transfer to.
Okay.
If you're going to share a zone.
Yeah. So go down here to properties, and then right
there
here
it is.
it's going to be dynamic updates, and then you're going to do non-secure and secure. Yep. So, and then that would allow like zone transfers between different types of DNS servers to transfer over. And then that way you don't have to necessarily always be typing the FQD in.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to cancel out of that because we don't care about that. Okay. Did we cover that one? Yeah. IP helper. DHCP.
Got all three of those spots.
Yep.
Scavenging set up.
Yep. And oh yeah, let's go into the DHCP. Or do we have a question before we jump into this? Or are we good?
Hey, Lex and Brig, can you refresh the DNS cache on user computers using PDQ?
Sure can.
Sincerely, Dustin.
Don't tell them how.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. You absolutely can do it.
Do you want to do that one?
Let's do it.
All right.
You want to do everybody? I like building a package.
Yep.
We're going to do a command step as soon as I get it in the dead center. And we're going to do an IP config /flush DNS. The other way you can do it is start and stop the service.
Yep.
The DNS service.
Yep.
Don't ask me how to do that.
DNS
Shane's
service.
done it. I watched it, but yeah.
Yep.
You can do that, but that's probably the easiest. Then you can deploy that out to everybody. You're
Yeah.
just sitting over there laughing, Josh.
What?
What? Come on, man.
Yep. Out with it.
Let everybody in on that joke.
So I'm curious if you're having DNS problems.
How do you
and
deploy
deploy is the tool that you're going to use to fix your DNS problems. Like, you're kind of in this chicken and egg
Yeah, that's a good point.
situation there.
Well, yeah. If you're using this to fix DNS, it's not going to.
yeah,
that's a good
you're-
point.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you could actually do
You
that.
could. I mean, maybe you
However-
could blast that out to IP addresses in your DHCP scope.
Sure.
There you go.
That might work.
Yeah.
I still like to laugh. You can do it. It's not going to work.
Well, it depends on your problems. It
Yeah.
absolutely depends on your problems. All right. Okay. DHCP. Okay, DHCP.
You
This
say,
is my,
"Aw," like you.
yeah, I really. This is where it all comes together. So on a scope, you right-click the scope, properties, DNS. It's even got a tab for it, which is
A
amazing.
whole tab
Yeah,
just
it's
dedicated
actually and this is what's weird. It's actually an option. So it's like a numbered option, like gateway or something like that. But they've actually included it in a tab so that you're like, this is what you need to do. So by default, this dynamic update here, this is what you see. And this is not what you want.
Not
This
good enough.
is what you want. Always dynamically update DNS records. That is exactly what you want. And you also want this one right below it, which is discard A and PTR records when the lease is deleted. So what this does is this says like, okay, the client owns the records. The client is like, hey, it and the DNS server are dating. The DHCP is like, nope, this is my date. So you can send me your information and I'll go ahead and I'll forward that to the DNS server. So the DNS server is like, okay, I'll get it from the DHCP.
That sounds like middle school. Like, does your friend like me?
Yes, exactly.
Is that what it is?
Will you be my boyfriend? Will you be my girlfriend? That thing, yes.
So it's the middleman that's actually controlling the communication.
Exactly.
So pretty
Yes.
much if it's someone going to date my daughter, I'm DHCP in this case.
Yep. And you're like, nope. Or yes. So it's basically controlling that. And then that way, when you get a lease when you're on the wireless network, and then you're on the wired network, the DHCP server is going to delete that record or delete that lease. It's going to tell the DNS server, hey, listen, this is no longer valid. DNS server is going to like, cool, what's the new one? It's this one. And if there's not a new one, it'll just be like, okay, I'm just going to delete it. So that's how that works. Jeff, did you have something to add to this?
I was just going to say, I would argue this might actually fix more DNS problems than scavenging.
Yeah.
Just these few
Just
settings.
the fact that, DHCP is in control of.
Yeah. And when you use both of them, like when you use scavenging and when you also use this, it's amazing because now you're going to get rid of any old records that are in your DNS server and you never have to worry about them again, even if this setting changes. But this setting will prevent that from ever happening. You should never have to scavenge ever again.
It's a long-term fix, right? Based on what you choose for your refresh, no refresh, and scavenge interval. This is not an immediate fix.
Exactly.
Do we have any more questions?
Yeah.
Dear Brig and Lex, is the error multiple connections to a server or shared resource by the same user a DNS issue? Sincerely, Andrew S.
Don't we usually see that error when you've got your background service is different than, what is it? It's not a credential issue? Josh,
You can create, well, yes, it depends. How about this? It depends.
This error requires a drink, by the way.
Yes, it does. This error, from my experience, it can be caused by so many different things. It's hard to say it's because of that.
Any one specific thing. But
a common thing that you can get this error to trigger on is if you're using different credential formats.
Oh,
right? Maybe domain
the
slash
credential
versus UPN.
Short version, yeah.
Okay, so basically, first place to look is use the fully, just match and make sure you're using that.
Just make sure you're using the same everywhere. Pick one, stick with it.
So if you're doing domain
slash
admin,
your name versus like lex at web.pdq.com.
Yeah. So just make sure you stay uniform across all areas you're using those.
It's SMB is fickle.
So
Finicky?
here's the thing that I'm kind of currently investigating if you care to. I think that there's a connection between some of these errors that we're getting and NBT, which is NetBIOS over TCP. Something I'm intrigued about. So yeah. Anyway, just a little note out there that sometimes NetBIOS and SMB, because SMB and NetBIOS are conjoined, are the same. Really, that's interesting. So yeah.
In a Chinese curse sort of way.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, you live in interesting times.
We got any more questions?
Dear Lex and Brig, how long do you recommend setting DHCP leases to? I've been told best practice is 1 day longer than scavenging. Sincerely, Kenru B.
Can be. Depends on if you've just set up DHCP to those so that you're always updating. Then really the lease times are kind of like it's sort of up to you. Like it's not that big of a deal anymore.
Okay, how about instances where you want it shorter? Like if you've got, let's say, 25 IPs and 50 people coming and going, might want shorter leases maybe?
You definitely want shorter on that one.
So longer, I mean...
Yeah, so the more, and it's kind of like, there's like not a formula out there that's really useful. It's
just
so
over there
hard
laughing
because it depends on whether or not.
Here we go. We're going to say it again. It depends.
Yes,
it depends,
it does. But like, and it depends on like how frequently the machines are leaving your network. Like, are they going to this wireless network and then they're going to the wired network? So, for instance, like in some schools, you've got like it's happening 2 or 3 times a day. Sometimes it's like happening every hour, or even more frequently than that. So, probably want to do DHCP leases pretty short on that in those cases, just to make sure that they're not getting like too many. But it's just kind of one of those things is wait and see. I would probably start lower and then move up the lease times depending on what you're seeing as far as errors go. Yeah.
Depends.
Yeah, depends. It is. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like try it out and test it out. It's not going to hurt anything. Well,
whoa, no,
don't be too aggressive.
Josh is over there like, whoa.
Yeah, don't be too aggressive. It won't hurt anything. Just just try it.
Don't set it to hours.
Yeah. No, don't ever set it at hours. In fact, never. Hours. Who added that in there? Who did that?
Who made that a feature request?
It was like, just hours, sure. Scavenge
in 1 hour.
Because here's the deal. I'm going to talk about this for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We found the passion. Here we go.
I want to hear this rant.
Tiny rant. Okay, so let's just say, the client machine updates once every 24 hours. That's it.
1 day.
I mean, you could there's probably a way of like setting that to more frequent to do updates more frequently, but just out of the box, not having to do anything once every 24 hours. So let's just say you set your no refresh interval to 1 hour, and then you set your refresh interval to 1 hour, and then you set your scavenging to 1 hour. That's 3 hours. That's 3 hours. That's it. So you have 3 hours in which this poor client machine, within that window, has to respond back to, or has to respond to the DNS. There's just no way.
That's psychotic dating right there.
Yeah,
that is the
it's
definition
impossible.
of psychotic
Yes,
dating.
yes. It's like you can buy this car at 1 a.m. Right now. You have to be here, but you've got 3 hours in which to get here, and you're 7,000 miles away. It just anyway. It's
Increase in traffic, increase in CPU.
yeah.
It's just inefficient.
Why?
so-
Who has hours?
Can we
I mean-
find any more of his hot buttons?
Well, like one day, like this.
Brig wants to find the man that requested.
I do. I want to just find out, like, what was the justification? But maybe there is one. Maybe I'm missing it. But I mean,
The guy will tell him, and Brig will go, "Come here."
yeah, yes, exactly.
Take it out.
You have no business programming this stuff. Anyway, so those are my
Hey,
thoughts.
do we got any other hot button issues we can?
Yeah. That
Dear
requires
Lex.
a drink. All right.
Lex and Brig, can you explain the third checkbox, dynamically update DNS records for DHCP clients that do not request updates? I don't have that checked currently, but the other stuff matches. Sincerely, Adam S.
Oh,
DNS.
This is DNS. Oh, what did I do with my DHCP server? I'm terrible. I just X'd out of it. Rotten person. All right.
Sorry, just cracking me up. I love you, man.
It's just why do you do things? All right. So, this DNS Records DHCP. Which one did he want? Again, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I apologize.
I left that thought right on my head.
I know. It's because I had the.
Oh, this one here. Dynamically update DNS records for DHCP clients that do not request updates.
Oh yeah, like these are old. Oh yeah. If you're running like Windows 2000 and those old kind of things, then that you should have that checked. You don't really need to have that checked in a modern network.
Let me ask, is that going to affect? Yeah, never mind. I just answered my own question in my head, so I'm not even going to ask it because y'all look at me like this, like, really? So,
Yeah. So to answer your question, this is not, as far as I'm aware, not necessary. You do not need to have that checked. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just like, okay.
unless you have Windows NT 4.0,
Yeah.
bad IT guys.
That's even
Actually, if you've
Is
had
that
that,
Windows
you probably
2000?
inherited and couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah,
'cause
maybe you've got
nobody
like a
in their right
CNC
mind would
machine
keep
or
that.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's-
that is true. Well, although the
Embedded.
CNC machines that I worked on were all Windows XP.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or earlier.
Yeah.
Or-
There was a Windows 98 one. Oh, that's right. Windows 98. Oh yeah, those were the time. Those were the days.
Wild West.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We have any other questions?
Yeah.
Dear Lex and Brig, how long should it take for the command ipconfig register DNS to take effect? Thanks. Ping me.
Very quickly. Should happen.
Very quickly.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just like, oh, when I do a GP update, how long does that take? It's kind of like, again, it depends, but it should be very quick. Like, Josh, do you have any experience with that taking any longer
Yeah,
than
I
like
think the question comes
immediate?
from when you run that command, it says any errors will be reported to the event viewer in 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But there's a timeout.
Yeah.
It should try and contact that configured DNS server as fast as it can. But if it fails, it'll continue to retry for up to 15 minutes. And if it fails completely, it'll register and in the event viewer.
Yep.
So if it works, it should be fast.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, you'll see a log
see
in
an error.
15 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other? Oh, there we go.
Oh, another one?
Hey Lex. Hey Brig. In my DHCP scopes, enable DNS dynamic updates according to the settings below is checked, but everything else is gray. Thanks, Wayno.
But everything else is great. Oh, is your name protection on? Like this? Is that's what you got going on right there? Name protection. Name protection is fine. We're beyond the scope of what we're talking about here, but we've actually got a video. I don't remember which one it was, but where we talk about like enable name protection. But
It's not DNS. It's DNS.
Is that the one?
That's the one.
Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you. Anyway, so we go into that and we talk about name protection, but that's what's going on. Oh, let me uncheck that. So
Undo that. Yeah. All right.
Here's a non-DNS question that's been waiting for a while. How do you install programs in other languages, such as Firefox, in French? Sincerely, Floyolololo. Si.
I got one here.
He just smiled over there.
Okay.
Go for it, man.
So go ahead and grab the auto download package that's there. Make it a standard package. Replace that ENUS installer that we put in there with whatever language you want. Ta-da!
Ding.
FRFR.
Could you automate that through PowerShell?
probably.
You probably could.
I'm sure you can.
Yep. Yeah.
Any more? Oh, we have more.
And our final question. Does nbtstat mean you have to do it really fast? Sincerely, Hawkeye Pierce.
Yep. It sure does. You go and find that computer really fast. Yes. Oh, Kelly.
Wow. That's a good note to end on, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. All right. All right. I'm Brig.
I'm Lex. Hey,
Yep.
DNS. If you don't think it is DNS, it still probably is
DNS.
DNS.
Yeah.
So, thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you very much.
Catch later.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Adam S. and Ping Me. Winners of PDQ swag, send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.